All right, so today we are going to be going over a technology for an opinionaire that I'm going to ask you to fill out as an assignment, right? But before we get into the details of that assignment and the reason why we are using this technology with that assignment, let's get into what the technology is first. So we are going to be going to a database website called CODAP. You go there by typing CODAP into your Google search bar. And you go to this first link that says CODAP, Common Online Data Analysis Platform. You click on that, and then you're going to hit Launch CODAP in the top right of the screen right here. Hit Launch CODAP. And then you're going to go to Open Document or Browse Examples. And then you're going to go to the roller coaster set of data. You're going to click on that. That's what we're going to be focusing on for this activity. And you're going to hit Open. Now, when you open up this set of data, it's going to give you a couple different things. It's going to give you this guide, but you shouldn't necessarily need this. It's just some more information if you want to keep there for reminding you about how to interact with the website. So you can keep that there, but I'm going to drag it away so we can have more room to work. And it's going to show you a big set of data. It's a set of data of 157 roller coasters across the US. And it gives you a bunch of different variables, right? It gives you their top speed, their max height, so some of these quantitative variables that are represented by numbers. And it also gives you some qualitative variables, such as type of roller coaster, if it's sit down or stand up, if it's inverted, yes or no. So these are going to be some things that you're going to want to decide, do you want to use qualitative or quantitative? But it gives you those options, right? And so what you can do with this website is you can take two variables that you want to see a scatter plot relationship between and put them immediately into a scatter plot. So for example, I want to see the relationship between top speed and max height. I'm going to take the max height, I'm going to drag it over to one of the axes on my graph, let's just say the x-axis. Then I'm going to drag the other variable to my y-axis, in this case top speed, and it'll give me a scatter plot that shows the relationship between these two variables, right? Now, when you use quantitative variables, it's a little bit different. Let's say I want to compare type of roller coaster, wooden or steel. And then let's also say I want to compare their highest drop point. It's going to give you more so of like a sideways looking scatter plot type of correlation, but you can still look, you can still see that, oh, the wooden, the hot, it seems like generally the wooden has a less drop than the steel ones, right? It seems like this goes higher. So this is a little bit more of a different type of scatter plot than we're used to. But if you tilt it over, you can still see that you can still draw conclusions from it. But if you are more comfortable dealing with the more quantitative variables, that is also fine, right? Now with these graphs, you can do a couple of things. You can put a least squares line on them, so you can show the correlation between the variables. You can also add a count. So this was taken from 142 out of the 157 roller coasters, right? Anything that you hear that you feel like might help you draw a conclusion. However, you ultimately could complete this assignment by simply just creating scatter plots, either like this one or like this one. And do not worry about separating these into different groups. We will not be using that in this one. You can also, for the qualitative one, you can also find, percentages, how much is on each side. You can show the mean of each. You can show the median, the standard deviation, right? So this is represented more of a box plot shape, but it still falls into the scatter plot category that we're focused on, right? And then also for any visual issues, you can change the background color as well as the color of the dots themselves in the color section. And you can also change the outline. And this should, if you need help seeing them, you can do that. You can also drag the graphs so they get more space between them. And then if you ever need another graph because you want to compare 3, 4, 5 scatter plots, you can just hit graph and it'll give you another scatter plot that you can work with. Okay. So that's generally all of the information you're going to need to know to work with this website. Now, the activity you're going to be using is an opinionaire that's going to ask you questions about these roller coasters. Now, I'm not going to ask you questions like, oh, what's the tallest roller coaster? What's the highest roller coaster, right? I'm going to ask you questions that don't really have a yes or no answer. You're not going to be graded on correctness. I want to see your ability to complete that second aspect of the standard, which is interpreting the relationship between variables on scatter plots that you construct, right? And this website is great because it provides you with not only many options, but it provides you with the freedom to combine whatever variables you feel necessary to make your argument, right? So if I ask you, what do you think is the most dangerous roller coaster? Maybe I combine top speed and max height, and I say, well, this one's much faster and much taller than the rest of them. That must mean it's dangerous, right? If that's an interpretation you have, then that's something you can describe based on the scatter plot and use to make your argument, right? If I say, oh, it seems like steel roller coasters are worse because they have a higher drop, and it seems like this one, because it's the tallest, might be the most dangerous. Like, these are all conclusions you could come to based on your interpretation of the variables, right? Remember, we are focused on the kind of abstract thinking part of mathematics. Mathematics is not just, oh, can I calculate numbers? Can I pick out numbers from a graph? It's also, how do we interpret this? How do we apply this to the real world? And I hope by giving you the freedom through this website to combine whatever variables you deem necessary and create as many scatter plots as you like, that you can not only show your ability to construct and interpret correlations of scatter plots, but also what the relationship between the variables are. Right? And so on the opinionaire, I'm just going to ask you to write a couple sentences, about what your scatter plot shows, what variables you used, and how that answers your opinion on each question, right? And we will work on this during class, and we will also finish it up in the next class with whatever time we need, right? But this is, again, is supposed to be kind of a sort of formative assessment, something I will collect just to see where you're at with the interpretation of variables, right? Now, if you have any other questions or is there anything else that comes up, you can always ask me in class. But this should be everything you need to know to be successful on the assignment and to get closer to reaching that goal.